day 4, and the Triumph Hurdle, sponsored for us here tonight by Dundalk Stadium. And I suppose this race is after turning on its head in the last week or so with the performance of Solo. Ronan, were you impressed with the Solo, this French import?
I mean, you have to be impressed with him, but I just think that it's a huge overreaction, and as Frank said as well, the 157 mark is bizarre. I don't know where that's come from. The time on the day was actually quite poor. I think they went around in 1 minute 35. I think it was the same sort of time as a 2 mile handicap hurdle on the same card. I just can't have him. And it's not like it's a soft Triumph Hurdle this year. You have Goshen in there, Allmankind who go off like clappers, Aspire Tower. I think they're going to go really fast here like they usually do, and just those 3 horses I just mentioned there, they're all going to be battling up front, and I wouldn't put anyone off back in a Wave of the Sea, who did what he did at Leopardstown, came from the back, picked up the pieces, and him at an each way price around 10 to 1, I wouldn't put anyone off that. I think he runs here, and Cerberus goes for the Fred Winter, I think is the latest from Joseph. And just the way the race kind of panned out from a Leopardstown, he kind of picked up the pieces in the end. I could easily see him doing the same here, so a Wave of the Sea from him.
I'd be a bit wary of the Irish form when we see what Allmankind did to Cerberus in England. Ian, what's your review of the Triumph Hurdle?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think a complete overreaction with Solo. 2 weeks ago he was 2 to 1 to win a novice in Kempton. He's nearly the same price now to win a Triumph. Sometimes in them races, David would know, when you think everything is going to make it, then they don't, they do trot. But it looks like in this that there is going to be a lot of them going to go off. And I think the same, it could said, I was thinking maybe Cerberus, but maybe he's going for the Fred Winter, him or Wave of the Sea. If one of them, if they do go very quick, someone like Barry Garrett, he's very good at just pottering his way around. I could see him coming through on one of them. They probably shouldn't be good enough really to win it, but if the race falls apart, I could see either one of them now coming through and picking up the pieces.
Well, Thomas, Allmankind, he goes off at a cracking pace. Difficult tactic for a Triumph, but I think he's not performing very well.
Yeah, and the Skeletons, I heard Dan saying he's his best chance of it, and he's like that. But there's probably going to be plenty of pace on, because Rachel doesn't mind booking about Aspire Tower. He's probably still in with a chance when he fell at the last. I agree with you. I don't think the Irish form is strong in this. Solo, he looked visually impressive. He bet horse of Emmett's Fujimoto Flyer. We've a lad on the podcast with us, Jason Coyle. He's kind of a French. He does Easyland. But he was telling us the race that Fujimoto Flyer had won previously in Artoy, there was grade 1 winners and Everton behind her. He thought she was going to be a bit better horse than Solo on its French form, but he couldn't believe how much Solo has probably improved from his French form. So look, he's probably a worthy favourite. Goshen for the Moors, he's been running in small fields as well. I don't think the Irish form is good enough. If there is going to be an Irish winner, I think maybe Aspire Tower. He was very good when he won his maiden in Punchestown. He was electric when he bet Wolf Prince, who I thought probably would have had a better chance the way things are going, but he's had a blip and he's out. But if there's an Irish winner, I think it'll be Aspire Tower, but I do think they're going to have to go to catch Solo.
Brendan, we saw Solo win an entire horse, which is a little bit unusual going for a Triumph Hurdle. We have Goshen, Allmankind, and a couple of Irish ones there after that. What's your view of the Triumph?
Well, I honestly don't think that the Irish form is good enough to win the Triumph Hurdle. There's no denying that Solo was very impressive the last day. The big question mark is the strength of the race, but he was very impressive. And Kempton is a very different track to Cheltenham. I personally fancy Goshen here. I think Gary Moore is a very shrewd operator. They'd been making plenty of use of this horse in his runs till the last day at Ascot, where they took a lead on him, put the race to bed very quickly. I think there'll be loads of pace in this race, and I think they'll drop him in third or fourth, and I think he would be very hard to beat myself.
Okay, well, it's Goshen then for you. And Frank, overreaction to Solo's performance? You picked a few holes in him.
I was off work for a couple of weeks and I was at home watching it. And I thought, oh, that wasn't too bad. He'd probably be 7 or 8 to 1. And I saw we went 9 to 2. And I was like, Jesus, that's a bit much. And I heard Matt Chapman saying, God, that 9 to 2 is massive. It'll be way shorter. And it was into 3 to 1. It's the worst. Like I've said about a couple, this is the worst price of any of them. And I'll tell you why. The time was 3 minutes 54 and 0.6. It was 105% finishing speed. Now the other 2 2-mile races running the card had similar finishing speeds, so they ran at a similar tempo. Song for Someone, who's a solid 155 horse at the very best, was a full 4 seconds faster. And the Dovecot was won by Highway 102, who's a nice horse, but that's about it. He's not a horse you think is going to win a festival race. Like they were on about maybe targeting the Imperial Cup, and I don't think he's in the 5-day decks. So like he's probably going to be a nice handicapper at best. And he was 1.3 seconds faster. Like a second at that kind of pace is roughly 5 lengths. Now Solo carried a pound more than the two of them. But the rating of 147 is absolutely farcical. Timeform's rating have him 4th in, and that's exactly where he should be. He should be behind the other 3. They've achieved far more. Goshen, my worry with him would be his form has actually worked out okay. Both him and Allmankind beat Nordano, who was an impressive handicap winner at Ascot a couple of weeks back. He won very easily off, I think, a mark of 127, I think about 11 or 12 lengths. The worry with Goshen is he jumps to the right when he gets a little bit isolated. I could just see him travelling all right and jumping too far right out to the right at the second last and losing ground. Allmankind, to be fair, has been an absolute headbanger. Like when he won up in Warwick, he pulled the whole way and I thought, he'd fall in the hole, and he still won by 30 odd lengths.
I thought the same.
He's definitely got ability. He was impressed with Chepstow, but he did get a right freebie. There's going to be pace on here. Now the one thing I would say about Aspire Tower is that when he won the first day, he got lit up early and he pulled Rachel to the front, and again he jumped well, travelled well, and you think, God, he'll find nothing now after pulling so hard. And they kind of bunched up behind him, and after the second last, Rachel turned in, gave him a kick, and he was gone. He won by 13 lengths. Now if you look at the form behind him, the second that day, C. Ducker was an Arthur Moore horse back from 11 to 1 into 11 to 4, and Arthur Moore doesn't like leaving money after him, and he's a horse to put in your notebooks for later on in the year. If he comes out again, he'll win a nice handicap. But the third was Wolf Prince, who's come out and won a couple of times and was second to Aspire Tower in a grade 3. Obviously he's going to miss Cheltenham, but he probably would have been among the favourites for the Fred Winter. The only thing I would say, that the race at Leopardstown the first day when Aspire Tower won, he went really hard that day. Again, the finishing speed was about 93%. So they went really hard. The rest couldn't keep up with him, and he was able to manage to keep going. Now, he's won by 18 lengths that day. Obviously, Wave of the Sea was in third. He's come out and won the next day. What I will say is, when I watched the race live at Leopardstown, I thought he was definitely beaten when he fell. But I watched the replay back about 10 times, and he definitely would have won. I think he would have won about 3 lengths. And the reason is everyone's glued to Cerberus and how he was travelling so strongly. But he ends up finishing third. A Wave of the Sea and Wolf Prince were off it and hard off it. Rachel just giving him 2 taps down the neck. And when I looked at the times then, what it said was that race was run to 100%. So she was trying to teach him to settle and conserve his energy for a finishing burst. And I think the way the race is going to be set up, he won't be in the lead. He'll be sitting third or fourth. And he'll let Allmankind and Goshen kick on. And I'm hoping he'll do them all up the straight then. He's loads of ability.
Tactically, it'll be if Aspire Tower happens to get running early on with those front runners, it could be a real mess of a race with 3 front runners, you know.
Yeah, it depends, but I think she was trying to teach him to settle, and he had done it because the time is telling you that he ran a lot more of an even race compared to the time before. So if he can do that again and conserve his energy, he has a load of ability. Like the race the first day, there's about 5 winners come out of that. It was a really strong race. So I wouldn't be dismissive of him at all.
David, what do you think of the Irish runners in the Triumph? Do you think they're up to it?
Well, throw times out the window anyway, not a fan of them. So Solo is unbeatable. I think the Irish form in Leopardstown is absolute dirt.
But can I ask you, what's the form in Kempton?
He beat a horse that I ride out in Emmett.
Oh yeah,
that's not bad. He's 1-2 and odd high.
She did pull.
French are the best for their young.
Yeah, but she did pull very hard. So like you'd have to question, did she run up to her best?
She pulled hard every day. She ran.
Yeah. But the rest of them are absolute mucking behind them.
Well, anyway, you had your spiel there now, and you went a roundabout way telling us that nothing is going to win it. Really.
That's fair.
Fair, yeah. We'll see how that goes. Solo, I think, is a steering job. If Burn Victory jumps 2 hurdles, he'll be in the first 3. Don't give a chance to either of them. You can pick Goshen and Allmankind up at the back of the second last. Don't get any further than that.
Run into the ground.